welcome to My Startup TV. I'm your host, Major Sunil Shetty. Recently at the Auto Expo in Delhi, one particular startup that caught attention of Indian media, influencers, and everybody else was HelenBikes. Now, this is a startup that's into electric bikes. And this is the reason for that was Prime Minister Modi interacted with the founder at the Auto Expo. And this particular startup is incubated with AIC-SKU, which is Adler Incubation Center, SriKrishnaDeva University, based out of Andhra Pradesh. And then today I have with me CEO of AIC-SKU to discuss about, first we'll talk about, the startup itself, and then what AIC-SKU is doing different in the startup ecosystem, where they're coming up with some amazing startup, which is different to other incubation centers in India. So I have with me my guest tonight is Dr. Mouli. Dr. Mouli, welcome to the show.
So namaste, Sunilji. Thank you very much for inviting me and to give more insights on my startup HelenBikes Private Limited, and also the kind of different and unique work that AIC SriKrishnaDeva Raya University is doing to enable the innovation and startup culture in the region and also in the nation. Thank you.
So before we get into to talk about HelenBike, let's you wear a lot of hats, and you've been to part of various enabling ecosystem across India. Do you want to share that a bit for our viewers?
That's a good question, actually. When it comes to innovation and startup culture in different regions, it varies from geographical location to geographical location. When it comes to metro cities, it's totally different. So most of them know the culture of entrepreneurship, startup, and they also know and they have good connectivity to the incubation centers, working spaces, and also to the investors. And when it comes to tier 3 and small towns, the rural areas, it's a bit challenging role where, to get this entrepreneurship culture and startup culture into the communities. So first we need to teach them what is entrepreneurship and startup. So then we need to understand, so what are their thoughts on so we need to understand that they are our, our customers. We need to understand them. Then we need to mingle with them, and then we should start. So what kind of benefits that incubation center is giving, and in nurturing innovations and startups at the grassroots level. So that's how from geographical location to geographical location it varies, and that's where AIC-SKU has stepped in, and we have been working mostly with the rural communities, women, and visually challenged, and the rural youth we are working with. Okay, so and the startups, the kind of startups we get is also mostly from rural areas.
What is that differentiates AIC-SKU Incubation Center when you compare with other startups, other incubation centers in India?
But when it comes to incubation ecosystem and the kind of services we provide to startups and innovators, AIC-SKU has its own game, of reaching out to the rural communities, institutional partnerships, collaboration with international organizations. So one classic example is HelenBikes Private Limited. So where, so they are from a small village called Godla Velleru, so near Vijayawada of Andhra Pradesh. And when they came here, they are just passed out students. And the story all started in December 2022. They came, they knocked our door, AIC-SKU, and, for seed fund. And we were open at that time, seed fund, and where we have provided a grant to them, and also we have provided in-house facilities to them, co-working space, laboratory, connecting with the right network. So this all we did. So, but most of the incubation center do this. But when it comes to reaching out to the rural entrepreneurs, so first thing what we realized is going behind the startups and getting more number of startups is a bit challenging thing in rural areas. So that's where our uniqueness started, and we started building and reaching out higher education institutions. Okay, so we reached out to higher education institutions. We spoke with the management, and we have 45 plus partnerships now across Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And most of the managements, college managements, are very keen in establishing the startup ecosystems in their institutions. So, but the thing is, they are directionless. Okay, so that's where AIC-SKU has started, nurturing and fostering this innovation and startup culture in higher education institutions. And then we started working with management at the policy level first. So then bringing up the right team to run the innovation and startup activities. And we are also supporting them in how they can budget. Okay, so in establishing incubation centers. And then the next level, we started working with acharyas, the professors. Okay, because professors are the bridging between the students and the outside world. Okay, and we as incubation center, so we have a lot of industries where they are throwing a lot of problem statements, and we thought first training acharyas so that they will identify the innovation spark in students. Okay, so we trained them, and then the next level is we started working with students then. Okay, so this is a kind of structured approach that AIC-SKU, and it is the flagship and innovative model. Okay, so starting from management, then to acharyas, and then to the student innovators, and innovators to the startup founders. So that's how our uniqueness lies in bringing up more number of startups even at the rural places. I should say the HelenBikes has demonstrated the local to global. Okay, so it's a full-fledged indigenous innovation that got developed in Anantapur, which is the small town in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, and it has demonstrated how AIC-SKU is supporting startups in developing world-class products.
No, that's really amazing that when you make the statement, local to global. I just take that point further. There are many startups out there who are working in EV space, electric bikes. What's the difference that this particular bike from HelenBikes Private Limited, which has got the attention?
So I should say the innovation at its core. Okay, so HelenBikes, I think they have redesigned and re-engineered the total structure of the wheel. So always, whenever we think of wheel, we always think of spokes, okay, and that support from the center, and it should stand like that. Then their innovation is totally different. So they thought that wheel itself as the stator and rotor kind of thing. They made it as a motor, and that's where their innovation started. And then when it comes to mobilities, mobility. So even if it is bicycle or motorbike, what we think is there should be a chain, okay, so which can couple the motor with back wheel, okay, so and that's how this total mechanism work. But they thought, no, we don't want any chain also, okay. So then that is again the electromechanical, technology they have used, okay, to transfer the energy.
I think we lost our guest. So HelenBikes came up with a new design, which is unique because in the sense that it doesn't have a chain, as Dr. Chandramouli was, explaining, and they have to redesign the complete bicycle. It was not any other bike, but it's not a regular bicycle with an EV component attached to it. They had to come from designing how the wheels look different, how the mechanism works. So basically, it is redesigning all of it. So let's see if Chandramouli joins in back. So the thing that's currently you see with most of the incubation centers is they work out. Though we have Dr. Chandramouli back, I was just taking this time to explain how it is different and what you guys are doing, right? So it's not about, it's not another startup comes up and says, hey, we want to build a bike. It's also working with them to see how they can be different, how they're different to other startups, and how AIC-SKU is helping them in, going through the thought process, the building process from A to Z, because you have worked with right from top to the, to the founder, right? So do you want to talk about how do you handhold startups?
I will take the example of HelenBikes, and also I will give other examples. And I will tell you how AIC-SKU provide incubation services to the different set of startups. So when it comes to HelenBikes, okay, I already mentioned you that they came to AIC-SKU and knocked our doors for a seed fund. Then we realized that they not only need this seed fund, they also require more support, hand-holding support, okay, in terms of providing working space, laboratory, rapid prototyping support, and also connecting with the right person, okay, who can validate their technology, okay, mentoring, I should say. And then, so these are the basic things that incubation center provide. But what we felt is they're from faraway place from Anantapur, and they want to work in Anantapur. Then what we did is we also provided some, accommodation to them on free of cost. Okay, and so like that, connecting with the right people, and funding is one major thing, I should say. Initially we have facilitated with 10 lakh rupees fund grant from Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. Okay, and then we have facilitated them with IPR grant. So recently, after 17th January, it is I think 20th January, they got patent from Indian patent for their technology. After that, we are also supporting them in the prototyping thing. Okay, so with 6 lakhs. So altogether, so it's not only funding, we are also connecting them with the right people and right laboratories. Okay, so most of the products, most of the the cycle, okay, what they have designed, they brought the materials from outside India, and then they started designing their own technology in that. Okay, so that is the kind of commitment that students Lokesh and Sajeev Ratnam, okay, they got, and we have been watching them very closely since 2-3 years, and they are like real innovators, I should say. Okay, so they work day and night in our incubation center. Okay, so morning also they will come, and then they work till 1 o'clock. Okay, so we have given all the freedom to access all the facilities, because in rural areas and state-run university incubation center, it's not that easy to accommodate startups, but still we have taken that step forward, and thanks to our SriKrishnaDeva Raya University and our executive director, Professor Nagushnam Raju sir, okay, who made all this happen. And coming to the services, when it comes to startups, okay, first we will understand what startup is looking for from AIC-SKU. Okay, so if the startup is looking for the full-length services, starting from problem validation to the market, so then we provide them the total incubation services. And if any startup is looking for, 1 or 2 services from AIC-SKU, like facilitating the fund, or co-working space, or connecting with the right person who can give them the technical support or market connection, so then we will provide that particular support, and we will tell them that its incubation support is not required to them. Okay, so depending upon the needs of the startup, we understand them. We also understand the maturity of the startup there. Okay, and the second thing is, if the one major thing we see when we take startups for incubation services is, so one thing is team, the commitment of the team. Okay, the second important thing is we also see whether they are coachable or not. Okay, so whether they are ready for change, okay, or as per the needs of the market, whether they are ready to change the business model and all those things we check.
No, that's very important, because startups as it is, are high risk ventures, right? And if founders are, we have seen so many examples, right, in our in our journey, you and me, we've been in the startup ecosystem since 2010, and we have seen many good startups have failed just because the founders were rigid. They did not want to pivot. They were not coachable. That was a big thing, right? You couldn't mentor them. You couldn't tell them. So that's very important that as a founder, startup founder, co-founders, you want to have a flexible mind. Do you want to, talk about a little bit more as to with any experience with any particular example you have without naming the person or the startup as to how a good startup failed?
One classic example I should say, okay, see, nowadays, if you see the mindset of the youth, okay, so let me talk this and quote this, the mindset of the youth. They want everything very fast, very quick, okay. So like instant coffee and instant tea, they want everything quick, super quick. But when it comes to startup and growing a startup, it's not like overnight thing we should do. So it needs a lot of validation. It needs a lot of guidance from experts. Okay, all these things are required. So we have a couple of startups. Okay, so I should say they have lost their crores of deals only because of they are not coachable. Okay, so this is a wonderful deal from one of the biggest company, I should say MNC company. Okay, so they have lost the deal, the crores of rupees deal they have lost. Okay, that's we cannot do anything which is not in our hands.
Well, no, very true, very true. I personally have invested in, I had invested in some of the startups where, with the initial seed fund. And I realized that, it was so difficult to work with, young entrepreneurs and first time entrepreneurs, especially because they come with this sense of entitlement and they think, my idea, so I decide everything. So that's one because that's the message that we want here from this program, from this platform for all those aspiring entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. That please, when you talk to when you are at incubation centers, when you are talking to mentors, they have the good, your good in mind at heart, right? So please listen to them, hear them out, at least take their advice seriously because they've done it, they've been there. Like somebody like Dr. Chandra Mouli, he's part of various startup ecosystem. Do you want to talk about that a bit as to your personal experience of having worked with various incubation centers or association with various organizations who are working with startups?
Yeah. So coming to the partnerships, I should say the partnerships. Okay, because when it comes to supporting a startup, it's not only single organization or single person's job. It's again the ecosystem job. So it's like how incubation center or the enablers like us can connect the right dots at the right time. Okay, so that's where the partnerships are very important. So we have different set of partners, including the incubation centers, international organizations, NGOs, and we have industry partners and corporate partners as well. And among all these things, so we have good experience working with academic partners. Okay, so where we want to build this innovation and startup ecosystem in their institutions. Okay. What I should say is, as I already told you, our academic partnership model is our unique program and the flagship program. And for this thing, the vision of the management is very, very important. Okay. So, and then if the management is not that keen to establish this ecosystem, then the total thing will go out. So we have seen few innovators who are very good in their idea and execution of their business model. The team is also very good and they're very good and they're coachable also. But the only thing that stopped them is the organizations. Okay, so that is one experience we had with some institutions, but there are a good number of institutions who are very proactive in understanding the needs of student innovators, and they are also making them the startups. So like that, I should say one example. So one of the successful, so it is a small degree college, undergrad college. Our partnership, they got 4 innovations and 2 startups, and the 2 startups got funding from Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. Okay, so and recently one of the startup, Danwin Eco Woods Private Limited, And the founder of this particular company, Yashwant Reddy, is still in his final year of undergrad, and he secured 45 lakhs of investment from US venture capitalist firm. Okay, so this is experience working with academic partners. When it comes to working with corporate partners or industry partners, okay, or NGOs for that matter, whatever it is. So what we do is we closely work with them so that we are waiting for we receive the problem statements from the industries. Okay, so then we throw ideation challenges and also innovation challenges, hackathons. We organize such type of programs so that the innovations and the problem solvers will come forward and start solving those problems. Through that, we are expecting two things. One is innovation. Another one is they can start their own company. Okay. And of course, coming to the funding and facilitating them with the technology or working space, and also the market is at the industry or the corporate or NGO scope. Okay, they will take care of that. Only thing they have to do is they have to solve that problem. Okay. Rest of the things, as AIC-SKU, we will facilitate the finance, or we will ask the NGO or the corporate partners to do this. Okay, so this is where, as I told you in the starting, as enablers, what we have to do is we have to connect the right dots at the right time. Okay, so that's what we are doing actually. And it is getting good round of applause from everywhere.
Well, I'll take this opportunity to mention that over 1,000 people are watching this live show on startups, Thought Leader Show, and requesting all our viewers to subscribe to this channel and join us daily for live shows or what's the trend, where we discuss what's happening latest in the startup ecosystem in India, and thought leaders like Dr. Chandra Mouli join us sharing their insights. So Dr. Chandra Mouli, one of the other important thing, one is to build a startup, come up with an idea, build a product or a service, and then the holy grail is when you take it to the market and sell. What kind of support do you provide there?
So if here again, sir, it depends upon at what stage the startup is. Okay, if they are at early stage, okay, so we have different set of supporting system. Okay, if they are into market, okay, so we have different set of support. Say for example, a startup is having a good product, okay, and it has good market, okay. So not only in India, okay, so it has good market in abroad also. Okay, well, in that case, what we do is we first try to facilitate them in protecting the technology in that particular area where the market is very high. Okay, so like that, we have supported two startups in facilitating the IPR. Okay, the two startups, and we facilitated IP for one is Aventech Innovations Private Limited, another one is Upran Innovations Private Limited. So we supported them in protecting their IP in European nations and Japan. Okay, so now their technology has good market in European nations. Okay, so now that is one thing is initially we will protect that particular technology. The second thing is we will also see what are the statutory requirements that startup has to follow and how AIC-SKU can support them in reaching out to the right agency. Okay, and the right body to get this statutory requirements accomplishments. Okay, the next thing what we do is we also work with them, work with different agencies in India so that they can connect our startups to the right market at international levels. Okay, so one such organization we have is IFIA Bharat, so International Federation of Inventors Association. So Mr. Anand, who is the national director for India, is a good friend of mine and has been associated with us and our startups, and he's providing marketing support in 103 nations. Okay, and we have good connections with other organizations where they are providing good market connections in Japan. And we have good connections in all South Asian nations. We are part of International Creativity and Innovation Awards 2025. Okay, so where most of the South Asian nations participates there. Okay. And in the last year, 2024, a couple of my startups got 3 awards. Okay. So I'm very happy to share this in this platform. And so this is the kind of, a specific set of services that AIC-SKU will provide if the startup has the market globally. Okay, if it is India, of course, Atal Innovation Mission community itself is big community in India. Okay, so you name any, say for if the company or the startup has the market in eastern region of India, ready. We have a couple of incubation centers there. We will ask them. They are always ready to help us. Yeah. So this is the whole scenario of how we support startups, especially the market-ready startups, to access the right market.
So, Dr. Chandramouli, what's the next few years? What have you set as a goal for AIC-SKU, to achieve?
AIC-SKU, I should say, one of the top performing incubation centers in India. I'm very proud to say that. And in 2024 also, we received the Best Rural Incubator Award from International Startup Foundation in Hyderabad. Okay. And now we have our goals set very, we are very clear about our goals. Okay. So now in coming years, so we are planning to support more number of higher education institutions to establish innovation and startup ecosystem in their institutions. So that is our primary agenda, because when it comes to small town and rural area innovation culture, it's not that developed. Okay. So now if we work closely with HEIs, and these HEIs will become the catalysts, okay, so that the future generations will become, we can expect more innovators and startups from these HEIs. So our goal is to establish at least one incubation center per district, to start with Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so 26 districts, 26 incubation centers we want to establish. This is our primary goal. Okay, so that's where even we are strategizing to reach out more number of institutions and more number of managements to accomplish this particular this thing. And coming to the startups, we have seen that with our experience, like 7 years of experience, we have seen that when we started in 2018, okay, so it's a different game. Okay, we don't even got the good applications for incubation support from startups. So now if we open the applications, we got good number of applications, the quality applications, I should say. So this tells that we are not behind the startups, and we are behind establishing the culture of innovation and startups. Okay, so that's where our uniqueness lies, and of course the startups and innovations followed all these practices.
That is very interesting point that you bring up, that it is not chasing startups, but what you're looking at, or your focus area, is innovation. So the other important thing that comes up is, we know that typically, students in colleges, their focus is to get a job, right? And our society is where parents kind of play a major role in what the student does or the child does. How are you able to convince students to get onto the journey of entrepreneurship rather than chasing jobs? I know it's probably in a college where there are 1,000 students, probably 10 of them actually take to entrepreneurship, but that number also kind of is difficult. Are you seeing a mindset change here among students and their parents?
I would like to give you some statistics here that AIC-SKU has did for the past years. We have reached out so far nearly 1 lakh innovators, students, and entrepreneurs. Okay, 1 lakh plus. And we have reached out more than 350 plus institutions, higher education institutions, of course, schools, intermediary colleges, and engineering colleges, degree colleges, universities. So, and then out of this, we got nearly 45 plus institutions into our partnership, and we started working with them. We have received more than 1,000 plus ideas, and we curated down to, it's like 250 plus ideas. Okay, And we have trained more than 1,500 students, innovators. And you know how many startups emerged out of this? 10 startups now. Okay. And the 10 startups are doing very good. Okay. So why I'm giving this all these statistics, the kind of mindset. So when we started working 6 years back, it's totally different. Now you should see most of the colleges initially when we throw an application for this training program called Ignite of AIC-SKU, hardly we will get like 40, 50 applications from institutions. Now we are getting hundreds of applications. Okay. And all the applications and the students, they are really doing a wonderful job in filling up the applications itself. That is the kind of mind shift. I mean, the mindset and the shift of the mindset happened in the educational institutions. So this is one thing, and also coming to the managements. Okay, most of the managements, they started by seeing the enthusiasm of the students and the faculty members. They started building incubation centers. They started allocating the space. They started recruiting a team. Okay, and they started building a policy, separate policy, incubation policy, IPR policy for their institution. Okay, and they got to know the tinge of I should say the happiness, and then the tinge of benefits from this innovation and startups. Okay, so that's where the AIC-SKU is something different. Okay, and we are very happy that we are changing the mindsets. This is one perception. That means when we are working with higher education institutions, there is another perception. Okay, I should say we also closely work with school students. Okay, so every year AIC-SKU supports a minimum 8 to 10 schools in handholding innovations and also changing their mindsets. Okay, through Atal Tinkering Lab programs. Okay, so we are proud. We are the proud partners of Atal Tinkering Marathon of Atal Innovation Mission. We started associated in this program since 2018, and every year the student teams that trained from AIC-SKU, the school student teams trained from AIC-SKU, have stood at in the top 30 and top 50 or top 100 indigenous innovations since 2018 to this year. Okay, so that is again when we are going to the rural areas and talking to the students, the school students who don't even understand the innovation, entrepreneurship, all these things, they are coming up with wonderful ideas that they have faced during farming or during their childhood or in their class. And all the ideas, I should say more than 60% of that ideas are technically viable and business viable. And we don't get these kind of ideas even in most of the grad students. I'm really happy for that, when we are touching that rural school students. Okay. And now what we are doing is we are now partnered with CREA International, who organizes this International Creativity and Innovation Awards. And all the South Asian nations, including Malaysia, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, so all these people, they combinedly work and they bring all the innovations starting from age 6 to 17. Okay, all the innovators are eligible to participate in this. It is again in virtual mode as well as in on-site mode, both. So now all these people, after a series of 2 to 3 months of training and mentoring, they will celebrate International Creativity and Innovation Awards in Vietnam this year. Okay, so this is happening, and we are the national selection partners for this program. And now what I'm doing is, I want to take the the school students who have these wonderful ideas from a rural place to the global platform. So this is another model of local to global, I should say. Okay. So this is a wonderful platform like AIC-SKU is creating in changing the minds and mindsets of even starting from schools to now the colleges and the students. And I should say one example. Recently, I got a call from one of the student. She is studying agriculture final year. Okay, and she called me, sir. I am Mrudula from Student Innovator Program. That is the program organized by AIC-SKU in partnership with Atal Innovation Mission under this Atal Tinkering Marathon. She is the first batch of our Student Innovator Program. She was school student at that time from a social welfare school of Andhra Pradesh. And she called me, sir, now I have good innovations. Okay. So at that time I tried under AIC-SKU. Now I have that mindset of innovating. Now I'm doing a lot of innovations in my, academics also. Okay. So she's applying the same principles, identifying the problem, validating the problem, and bringing the solution. Okay. So that's what we want, right? As enablers, at that time she is a school student and she grabbed everything, and now she is applying in her education. In future, she may apply in her job, or she may become entrepreneur also. Okay.
Get to life, because ultimately what you're doing is changing the mindset, isn't it? Making them think differently, not
Correct.
think this, not be stuck in a box.
Exactly.
The other thing I want to understand is, and this is my final question to you. The programs like AIC and Atal AIM and all these programs, they actually helped a lot in changing the culture, the mindset, right at grassroots level, isn't it? Could you share a bit of that?
When it comes to Atal Innovation Umbrella, so Atal Innovation Mission is a wonderful program, I should say, which is started by NITI Aayog government of India. They started in one line, I should say, to change the culture of Indian innovation and startup ecosystem. They started Atal Tinkering Labs for the school students. Okay, so that is where students can think differently, out of the box thinking. They will start and they can become problem solvers. That is the only criteria for Atal Tinkering Labs to establish and work. And we have 10,000 schools now in India, and all schools were funded by Atal Innovation Mission. Okay, so then after that they have established Atal Incubation Centers. Okay, so for these Atal Incubation Centers, the primary motto of Atal Incubation Centers is to support startups, okay, and innovations. Okay, and again it depends upon the geographical location the AIC is placed, and it can support different sectors. Okay, if it is placed in somewhere like in coffee institution, then it should support the coffee based ideas, innovations, and startups. Okay, so like this, if it is placed in somewhere in NIFT, then it should support more on textile based businesses. So like this, Atal Incubation Centers have established in the primary motto of them is to support innovations and startups. And then later they realized and they started another program called Atal Community Innovation Centers. And these innovation centers, they closely work with communities like artisans, okay, like rural youth, women. Okay, so it's like they work with communities, they understand their problems, and the innovators will give solutions for that. Okay, so these are Atal Community Innovation Centers, how they are working. And altogether, AICs and ACICs, we have 101 incubation centers altogether in India now. And then to support all these platforms, Atal Tinkering Labs, AICs, ACICs, we have to culminate somewhere. Okay, if AICs, ACICs, and ATLs are working individually, it's no matter of establishing them, right? So that's where they have started including AICs and ACICs in few of the programs of Atal Tinkering Labs. Okay, and most of AICs and AICs now helping Atal Tinkering Lab schools to enable them in this, to become innovators and problem solvers. And then to support innovators and startups, they have come up with a couple of other programs called Atal New India Challenge, Arise, and also now wonderful program, I should say, that is Vernacular Innovation Program. Okay, so Vernacular Language Innovation Program, it's a wonderful program where most of the school students will get benefit out of this. Because this vernacular language program, if I go to any rural area, if I talk in English, they don't understand anything. So then what I have to do is I have to teach them in Telugu, in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Okay. So that is one good program, I should say, because India is huge with multiple languages, multiple cultures, traditions. And that's where I think this program is very, very crucial for the next upcoming year, because Atal Innovation Mission 2.0 has, I think Cabinet has approved that. Okay. And the next biggest program is, I should say, this vernacular language innovation program that is going to happen from Atal Innovation Mission.
Well, we also at MystartupTV, we recognize the depth and the diversity of India, and we have also started a regional segment where we do, we have identified 14 languages to start with, and we will be bringing programs in those 14 languages as well. So there will be live talks and program in 14 different languages from north to south, east to west. So, so viewers, if you want to, hear such insightful, conversations from thought leaders like Dr. Mouli, Mouli, do join us every day at 8 p.m. for our What's the Trend live show, where you get to hear what's happening latest in the startup ecosystem. Do subscribe to our channel, do follow us, and it is mystartuptv.in and mystartuptv.live, which is our blog site. We also have an OTT platform for short filmmakers and podcast. You can follow us on Spotify. Dr. Chandramouli, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to hosting you again and get more updates about the awards that you're going to be, the program that you're going to go to Vietnam for, and we want to hear more about what AIC-SKU is going to, is doing in the coming years. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Sunilji, for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share my insights. And this is the voice of, I should say, the most of the innovators, startups, and of course, the rural incubation centers. Okay, so thank you very much for giving this wonderful opportunity. And I'm looking forward to see how I can help My Startup TV in this vernacular language program again. Okay, so I'm very much interested in such programs, telling in Telugu it's a different touch it has. Okay. So thank you very much for that. And I'm looking forward to work more with My Startup TV in future also. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.